Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Campfire Show. Today we have my friends Kevin and Chris from Grace Church in lovely Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Hi, guys.
Hi, Doug.
What's going on, Doug?
What's going on is it's cold here. It was 70 degrees. I know, it's very sad. It was 70 like 2 days ago. I mowed the yard. It was awesome. Today it's 30, which I do not like.
Oh, that's very different.
So I'm excited to gather around the campfire here and warm up a little bit today. So
well, it is 70 here. So
well,
we'll send you some.
I'm very jealous.
Yeah.
So here on the show, we share some stories and wisdom and marshmallows, which Kevin, I think you actually have marshmallows prepared, which
I
is
brought marshmallows
awesome.
from you,
That is great. You are the first guest ever to have an entire bag.
Yeah.
So you get extra points for that.
Thank you.
But yeah, we just share some stories and advice and things you're learning to encourage the church. But we start out with the very important segment called Show and Tell. And so this is just something unique or goofy or frightening that you have at your desk or your home office or in your car. And so this is like, remember when you did this like in elementary school, you got to bring things in and show and tell. So that's what we're going to do, grown-up show and tell. So Chris, what do you have for your show and tell item today?
Okay, I have an item that was in service, being used by Grace Church regularly every single week until about 2014. Keep that memory in your mind. 2014. It is
Nice.
a hard drive-based click wheel iPod.
Nice.
On the back, it says property of Grace Church.
Nice.
Because a sticker will stop somebody from stealing it.
That's right. Yeah. So I came on staff in 2012, and this was our kind of like lobby music situation.
Nice.
And I thought, gosh, that's adorable and awesome in 2012, and kept it for 2 years just because it still ran.
Yeah.
It plugged in.
We need to play it and put songs on there.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Well, you definitely got your money's. You got your money's worth out of that. So
I think so. Yeah, it's a 30 gigabyte.
nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So Kevin Baker, what is your show and tell item today?
I can't really compare to that. There's just not a whole lot to
What does it say on it? I can see
I
that it's a
didn't really
clown.
bring anything with me today. Just
What does it say on the side?
it says Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus.
Nice. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
it's
very cool.
Terrifying, actually.
Well, my item actually is terrifying. It is one of the most terrifying objects in church, and especially frightening to worship leaders. And I will share it here right now.
Oh my gosh!
The tambourine. Yes.
Throw it away, Doug. Just throw it away.
And this is from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum in Cleveland.
Oh my god!
So that is my show and tell item. So
Solid.
the nice thing about my office is if I did an interview every day for a year, I would never run out of weird things like that because my office is full of them. So anyway, I'm excited to have you guys here. You guys do a lot of things right, and you do a lot of things creative and with excellence. So I'm excited to hear you share your wisdom today. But tell us about yourself and your family and your role at the church.
I'll go first. I'm Kevin Baker. I'm the worship pastor here at Grace Church. I've been on staff now for, gosh, I don't know if it's 6 years or 7 years in July. It's somewhere around there. I've been married to my wife now for 18 years. We've got 2 kids. Our daughter is 17, and she leads worship with us here at the church. And then my son is soon to be 14. And so after many years of doing ministry, I've been in ministry now for, probably 25 years. We've done some traveling around the United States with music ministry and that sort of thing. And then had the opportunity to land here in Chapel Hill about 6 or 7 years ago and take the position as a worship pastor.
Very cool. Chris.
Nice.
You're up to bat.
Sure. My name is Chris Bitsas. I have been on staff at Grace for, it'll be 8 years this summer. I've been a member of the church since 2002. Originally trained as an architect, was volunteer for many, many years. Got involved in kind of some of the management of the church by way of the elders board, and then ended up coming on staff in 2012. Accidentally, I didn't really set out to be on a church staff, but I was super passionate about helping the church from a leadership perspective, get better at creative and better at media, and was influential in, creating the creative director position, thinking it would be somebody else and having a list of people that we were going to go after to try and fill that role for the church. And one of the other elders was like, "You seem really passionate about that. Have you ever thought about throwing your name in the hat for that role?" And as soon as he said that, it was like the Holy Spirit just stuck his finger on my heart. He's like, "This is what I want you to do." And so
Very cool.
A 10-year career in architecture, and been on staff and loving it ever since. So got to do a lot
Very
of
cool.
building.
Well, like I said, you guys are really good at what you do. I love that. And the reason that we do this show is because there are, the U.S. is full of churches. There's hundreds of thousands of churches in the U.S. There's millions of churches around the globe. And man, the church needs to be inspired. They just need to hear good stuff. And so that's what we're here to do today. So let's dig in. So Kevin, you and I have in common, we're both worship leaders.
Yeah.
And things have changed a little bit over the past few weeks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how is worship and or worship leading different for you now? What are you liking? What are you not liking? How are you adapting? Just all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I think the biggest challenge that everybody can probably relate to is trying to lead worship to an empty room, and our room seats 850, 900 chairs. So, we average somewhere around 1,500 per weekend throughout 3 services. And then to instantly shift to nobody in the room except for just the handful of tech and worship. It's a little bit of a shift for us to really press in. And so I'm telling my team every time we take the stage, we do our pre-recordings Tuesday nights, and maybe we can talk more about that in a little bit. But when we're in and leading worship, prepping for the weekend, I just tell my team, I said, this is still church, y'all. And we're going to do church tonight. We're going to worship our hearts out. And we're just going to lead strong and passionately. I use that phrase all the time and just encourage my team. Just let's do this strong and passionately. And we have the opportunity to now lead people in their homes. And the fun thing is that, each week we're seeing people tuning in online from all over the world, from Germany and that sort of thing. And so we have the opportunity now to lead worship all over the world.
Right.
So that's our biggest challenge, is just the difference of the room. But
Right.
we're trying to keep the heart set and the mindset that we're still doing church and we're still worshiping strong.
Sure. Are you seeing your online numbers go up? Like most people have seen that just explode, whether it's little church, big church, more people are tuning in now than ever before. Are you guys seeing that too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris can talk to the analytics side of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Chris, kind of similar question. How is tech different? How is planning different? Is there anything you guys are emphasizing more, or things that maybe you thought were important that you found out maybe weren't so important? You're emphasizing those less. What's your setup look different, or how is it different maybe than before this virus thing?
I think the biggest difference is we made a choice to do simulated live versus actually live. And so when we detached, the shoot from the actual presentation of it, it opened up a world of possibilities in post-production.
Right.
And now, instead of a worship set, being a start to finish with no stops, we can pause and get the shot that we want, or we can do a couple of run-throughs and edit together the best of both. So it's really opened up the ability to capture in a way that is meaningful and gets exactly the moments that we want to get, without hoping we get them, in a live environment and then wishing you had.
Right.
And then the ability to mix the audio afterwards is dramatic.
Yep.
And so, we've gone so far as to go in and pitch adjust, all of our singers, and really.
Chris, you just can't tell the secrets. Come on, man.
Yeah. Our audio guy does that. Our audio guy does that too, and he was telling me how many hours he works on that. And I said, man, that's this. I'm grateful that they do that. And I said, or we could just learn how to sing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we could snap our fingers and Sunday we all go back to church the way it used to be, Are you doing anything now that you think you'll carry with you? Like you talked about, like now we can get the cool camera shots and we can have guys running over the stage, and there's just lots of things we can do now without a room full of people. Have you had those discussions of, man, this thing here, fill in the blank, we love this. We'd like to keep doing this whenever there are 800 people in the room?
Oh, our senior pastor has already said, how can we do this once we go back to a live service? And, we're starting those conversations about what those trade-offs are, and if they are, if they are what we value.
Right.
I think a lot of that, at least the moving, camera shots down front and low with, the gimbal are likely going to make it,
Right.
And there's ways to do that. You can help us do that, right? With wireless video and wireless comms and the pieces that we need to make that work. But yeah, I think they are here to stay.
Right.
Sure.
Cool. So we've been doing this for a while now. I don't know how many weeks. What is it? 3, 4, 5 weeks that we've been kind of in this new reality. How is your congregation doing? And let me show you a little inspiration here. How are they adapting? Is there a danger that we're getting too comfortable, with this new way that we can now consume church? So how's your congregation doing?
Well, I think some of the feedback that I've heard is just the highlights of how we've been able to become a little bit more creative online. And I think what was important for us as a church in these early discussions as to what we were going to do and how we were going to move forward with the online church and the type of presentation that we were going to create, we landed at just making sure that we presented who we are as a church, and that you experience online as closely as you would being in person. And so we're bringing to the homes, I think, a sense of comfort through our presentation. We didn't change anything really in the way that things look, outside of just being a little more creative with camera shots and that sort of thing. But the experience that you get online is very similar and close to what you would experience in person. So the feedback that we're getting is, I think that is a draw, in a sense that people are feeling like there's some normalcy in their life every week, being able to hop on and experience church as they would experience it.
Yeah, we're seeing that from an analytics perspective too. I think, we had a number of off-peak service times available to people because we're trying to serve a population that works on the weekend. We have a lot of medical people, a lot of people with beach houses or mountain houses. And so 25% of our population was not around every weekend. And so our Thursday night service was an answer to that. But we haven't seen that, consistency make the jump to online. And now it's pretty consistent. Everybody wants to do online church between 9 and 11 a.m. on Sunday morning. And so we were adjusting those service times, to meet that need. Yeah.
Kevin, you talked about how hard it is to lead into this. We lead into a camera lens instead of to people's eyes. And it's, man, it's hard. Like I hate it, you know, because I feel like as a leader, you know, instead of you're leading people, yes, they're out there, they're on the other end of the lens, but like in that moment, you know, you don't have any feedback. You don't know what's going on in the room, and you can't adapt or adjust. And I mean, it's a good thing, right? It's a good thing that we're all doing, but man, it's hard. But like what Chris said, it's so important because the connection that the congregation is just hungry for that, because that's their only, like, we're going into these buildings, right? We still go into the sanctuary and we still make music and we see staff, even though it's, you know, it's probably limited staff and we've got to keep our distance and all that kind of fun stuff. But to the people that are watching this online, that is church, you know? So man, it's so important. So Kevin, the streaming thing, here's a real, I want to get your feedback on this. So here's a real experience for me. So we record these services, right? And we have our band and we have these worship moments, and we can have these really powerful, amazing, heavy, spirit-led worship times, right? And then we go to watch it, right? Have you ever felt like that?
Yeah,
It's a real thing, man.
that
It's
is so
a real thing for me. So is there anything that you're doing different, or any advice you'd give to maybe worship leaders or tech guys, people that are kind of just starting out in this? I know you guys were set up pretty well for it. You had the infrastructure there, and it was probably easier for you than maybe some churches to adapt to this. But what maybe from the successes and failures that you've seen, what advice would you give other churches that are kind of getting started with this?
From the worship standpoint, I would just tell worship leaders, worship pastors, and teams, just be who you are, and just communicate in a way of worship that you would on a normal Sunday, and then do your best with what you have to work with. We're all at different levels with technology and that sort of thing, but you can still create just a God-filled experience, even through online. So pray up, and then just lead your church in worship.
Yeah, that's good.
And
How about you, Chris?
do some cardio.
It's a very practical piece of wisdom there. Yeah. Cardio, cool. Well, hey, I want to thank you guys for stopping by the campfire. I raise my marshmallows to you. I have 2 marshmallows in your honor. Kevin's got a whole bag. And again, the reason that we do this is to encourage churches. So if you're out there, if you know of any guests that if you know of any guests that would be good for the show, let me know. I'd love to talk to them. Hit me up on that. And until we meet again, be encouraged with this, that it is better to get wisdom than gold.